I am so excited to be doing this AI orchestration webinar session. I guess we'll call it a webinar session with you, Nathan. What's up, Nathan? How's it going, man?
It's going well, Josh. It's super pumped to be here with you. Or the webinar panel, webinar event, whatever it is. Pumped to
We're
be
going to
here.
call it something. A webinar panel. We'll call it that. So my name's Josh. I head up demand gen marketing at Pavilion. We're the largest community in the world for go-to-market executives and sales, marketing, customer success, as well as founders and CEOs. So what we're going to be talking about today on my side is how we do personalized emails at scale coming from our local chapter heads, because we got local chapters in every major city. People come in, they come to our website and they raise their hand and are interested in learning more. They've got to get something personal from their local chapter head to explain the benefits of Pavilion, but not in a very canned, kind of templated way. We want to make this a lot more personable. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. Nathan, as a marketing nerd, I'm excited for your topic, landing page customization. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, I'm really pumped, and the goal, I'm going to do my best. The goal here is to make it tool agnostic so that you could do this with any chat tool that you currently have. We do use workflows, but we'll save that for another day in the future, and we'll kind of give you a quick glimpse at that. But the idea is to walk from A to B for personalized landing pages to either accounts or prospects from very start to finish, and how we do that internally. So I'm really pumped.
So Nathan, you head up content strategy at Copy.ai. Is that right?
That is right. Yeah, we are a very small team. So I think our marketing team is 4, and I was very excited, our CMO chose the title Head of Content Strategy so that in the future, I might be able to get rid of some of the more tedious work off my plate. But for now, still doing that too. But it was good forward thinking.
You're doing it all. And that's like why you have to use AI to basically triple, 4x your output. I feel like every marketer is dealing with this right now.
Yes, yeah, I'm hearing that a lot, where the expectations have risen more than they have in past years. So we'll get people through it. It's fun.
Cool. Ready to jump right in?
Yeah, let's hop in really quickly. And again, we're going to do this with any tool that essentially you need. But I wanted to start here. It's something that I think a lot of people overlook. And everyone knows that expression, garbage in is garbage out. But when we're talking about creating personalized landing pages, the way that I think of it is really creating custom solutions for unique problems. And so we'll dive into how to find somebody's unique problems in a second. But assuming you have some kind of research on accounts, one of the biggest things I've noticed is that people kind of slack off on adding the value propositions of their own product in a way that AI can better understand it to better match and create better landing page copy in the future. So we're going to do all this with chat. But I wanted to really walk through how we approach this, because I'm actually really proud of how we did this as a team. And the idea was I mapped out an overview of Copy.ai, but then the use cases that we have. So inbound lead prospecting cockpit, content ops, these are the use cases that we have. And then I created these conversational points around the workflows in those and the questions I would have to talk to with the right people to understand what problems these solve for. And then once I had this mapped out, I jumped on a call with the right people. So in some cases, it was Kyle Coleman or other people from our team, our CMO. And that was able to take the transcript and then really flesh out all of this stuff to understand our product, the workflows that are in there, and then break down those workflows, talk about the inputs needed, the expected, and this is really important, mapping out the benefits to go-to-market teams. And the reason that this was important was once I had this and I was happy with this, and this is where we always talk about the human in the loop is still very needed because we control the strategy for the input. Once we do that, then I could take it to a document and upload it into an info-based tool so that now the AI, our chat model, understands what our value propositions are and what problems we solve for. So I'll show you in a second why this is very important, but just starting there, I always like to remind people, again, that input of making sure that whatever you're working with, if it's ChatGPT, if it's one of Anthropic's or another chat tool, I'll be using Copy.ai chat today, but anyone that you're using, making sure that it really understands what problems your product solves for, so that when it's creating the copy for emails or landing pages or things like that, that it can really match the benefits of solving it with your product a lot more clearly. So just from a very basic like AI 101, this is where I would start, is making sure that you have some kind of internal document that really shares your value propositions, what you solve for, and who it's beneficial for, so that you can put it into a document. And then I think if you're using like ChatGPT, you could create a custom GPT with that. In chat, we use Infobase, Copy.ai, and then it just becomes this data repository to kind of launch everything off of. Once we're there, though, really it's just a matter of chatting. So I was able to chat with this a bit earlier, and all we're asking it to do is to take problems from a call transcript, and let's see if I can switch it here. There we go. All right. None of the old process for account-based marketing, in my opinion, has changed greatly. The process in terms of getting the research or understanding who you're speaking with. And it's really just taking an account, learning what they're dealing with, they're struggling with, and then creating offers that would be compelling enough to resonate with those problems to show, hey, here's how we would make your life easier. So what I did was I like working from transcripts. This would be less of a cold account. This would be more of a prospect calls. They're curious about something, and then we can build an account for either their department, their marketing department, or their entire company, and then we can distribute ads on LinkedIn to their colleagues, or we can send outbound emails to other people that we found. But essentially, it all starts with the research, and if you have it in the form of a transcript, that's great. If you're just doing research by hand, or we have AI research workflows that can be used, you grab that, and then this one I just said, hey, given the transcript, identify the problems that they're talking about. So this was a call that we had recently, straight from Gong. You'll notice it's going to tell me that this transcript was too long to do anything with, but it is a liar. It ended up working great, and it boiled it down to these 10 problems. So this is where I, as the human in the loop, ideally have listened to the transcript. I understand that these are accurate. And now this is just kind of sparking ideas in me for the problems that they have, and I can start to refine this further. So I know on our landing pages, we are going to narrow this down to the top 4 pain points. So I just ask it to press that down a bit further. And now we get these. And again, as the human in the loop, it's really good to do this within like 5 minutes after the call, just so it's fresh on your mind. It's just a lot faster than doing this by hand for anyone who has had to do that in the past. And then you'll notice here I was able to say, okay, based on this document, what would be the best solutions to help this prospect out there? Here's the document. And that's where I called in these value propositions that we talked about earlier. And this works through all of the problems that we solve and the use cases that we go through to solve it. Once we had that, it was able to say, okay, these ones seem like the best use cases. Prospecting, that's going to help with these challenges that they had. Cold messaging, it's going to help with these challenges that they had. AI integration, actionable insights from the call, and so on and so forth. Once I do that, I can take a structure of a page that we already have. So in Webflow, we have an ABM account page or a prospect page, depending on where they are in the funnel, if it's cold or if we've had a conversation. And I was able to codify that into a template. And then with that, again, add that to Infobase or whatever chat tool you're using. You can load that in. And then simply prompt it to say, this one actually misunderstood, and that happens quite a bit. So we went back and forth and said, okay, so that's fine, but can you, again, pull it out from this call, and then using the structure from above, write out a landing page similar to the example shown. Again, that example in the that we had. And then this came out with a first draft, and I always say first draft, example of a landing page. And I'm using dummy inputs here. And then it's a matter of chatting back and forth to refine it and making sure it's spot on. You can see I don't just do it once, I do it a couple times, and I can get some drafts. And then once I get the draft that I like, I can pop this over to the editor, read to make sure this top section, it understands what these problems are that we're trying to solve, and then go through. I try to avoid words like streamline now because everyone just accuses you of using AI to draft stuff if that word appears anywhere. But in the end, these have the exact fields that are mapped out in our Webflow CMS. And when I'm making the page, I can now make this account specifically for who we were talking to and follow up with them. If it was based on company research, we could send it to any of our key accounts or anyone working at our key accounts. And it's just this back and forth. Once we had that process down and really nailed down, we were able to take it to a workflow that it basically did this for us. And this is where I just use this as one of the examples. It really goes into a much deeper, but All of this has now programmed our value propositions into an action step so that we can run this at scale and take any research or transcripts that we have, run that and create a landing page, and then actually map out each field that we have to go exactly where it needs to in Webflow, so that in theory, and this was the rough draft, in theory, we would then just make these at scale using a spreadsheet with a bunch of data, import it, and then make as many of these pages as needed.
Wow.
So that's kind of the internal thought process that we've been doing. I'll stop the screen share there. I know it's hitting with a lot.
That was awesome. Okay, so did you feed? So the first question that came to mind, I'm sure other people are thinking this too, is so you fed it with the template in Webflow, like the structure, like H2, three points, like is that how you set it up? Okay.
That's exactly it. Yeah, and I do it in Markdown. I just found that it's better at understanding Markdown, and Markdown's super simple. I use a tool called stackedit.io, where I just copy and paste rich text and it converts it to Markdown for me. And then I just map out like, hey, we need an H2 field, and I always have to fill out that field in Webflow. So extract that H2 for me and just put that there. And then field by field, without any coding, I'm a coding dummy, we are able to really scale out that first draft of those pages.
So just using a tool like ChatGPT or an Anthropic tool or whatever, any chat AI tool, how long would you say it would take you to build a custom landing page if you already had the calls transcripts or like whatever the inputs are that you need? That's insane.
Assuming it's fresh on my brain, I understand the call. I understand that there are problems. A sales rep put it really well. She was using this for account research because we have other workflows to get that research in the first place. And she was building up a case to go onto one of these calls, and she said, it's awesome. I feel like I get to read the book. I don't have to write the book anymore. And that's really all this is it's so good at pulling from the right inputs. And once it understands and it's been trained on what problems you solve and what problems they have, it matches those really well. And now, again, I mean, in the past, I don't know how long it would have taken you to build a landing page from picking up pieces from a transcript, but it could take a couple business days, even a week, if you had someone talented who really wanted to nail it down. And now it's pretty instantaneous. And every time you do it, you just build a little bit more trust in the workflow, so it goes by a little bit faster. So
the beauty of it is the scale, like, because sure, like with the chat functionality, like you can have it learned from, like you can just continue, you have the knowledge base that has, so the knowledge base, let's talk about prerequisites. So the prerequisites are, one, you need a solid document of your value props, right?
yes.
You need a call transcript or something that explains the prospect's needs. And then was there a third thing that you needed to feed the info base with?
If you have a specific landing page structure and you would like that automated, then to make sure that you have that structured as a generic template in Markdown, so we have an H2, with the prospect's name in it, and then we have a subheading, and then we have an H3 with first problem, subparagraph, 3 bullet points, just a mapped out, and it sounds very tedious, but I cannot tell you how many hours we have saved since we've started doing this compared to the 2.5 hours it took to set up. Like, it's not, the savings make it a no-brainer in that way.
Thank you, Nathan. That was really cool.
Yeah,
you blew my mind. Now I'm going to start building landing pages out.
Well, I'm pumped now because we always have the problem of, great, we've got this page. How do we get anyone to look at it? And so I'm excited to dive into that.
Yeah. So let's jump right in. So just kind of summarize, Pavilion, we're a private community of go-to-market executives, and we've got chapters in every major city. So when somebody goes on our website, let's just say they go to joinpavilion.com. Let's just say they go here and they click join now. Let's just say they go through the form flow. Let's say VA. And let's just say right at this point, they drop off the form flow, or maybe they get to the last page where they need to pay for their membership and they don't pay for their membership. At that point, they've abandoned what we call abandoned cart, so similar to what e-commerce folks will say. But we've got a hot lead that has now left the website, hasn't finished signing up for a membership. So what do we do now? One of the big unlocks that we found is that if somebody's located, for example, in Boston, we have the local chapter head. Think of Pavilion sort of like a trade association model where we've got chapters in every major city. We've got the Boston chapter head that's going to do outreach to that person. The challenge that we have is we don't want that outreach to be very, very generic. And these people aren't full time, so I don't expect them to spend a lot of time customizing every single outreach email that they put together for somebody who has raised their hand. I want to make sure that they're empowered to send a message that's personalized enough to show that they care, and we do care, but at the scale at which we're bringing on new members in every major cities, especially cities like Boston and New York, it is not scalable to do a personalized one-to-one, spending 15, 20 minutes to do the research and understand the prospects needs, wants, desires by doing a lot of that research and then sending out an email related to that research. So the big unlock that we found is using AI to essentially draft up the email and create what you mentioned earlier, Nathan, that human in the loop, and give the chapter head the ability to then kick off that email and make edits to it. So I'll start with how you can do this today, and you can do this with whatever the use case you might have. And I'm going to show you how to do this using Zapier and using ChatGPT as a step. So in the same way that Nathan showed a workflow where it was step one, you've got all these inputs, step two, create the landing page, whatever the AI step is. Think of this in a similar way, but with much more limited capabilities, because we're using one step with ChatGPT in this case. But in this example, the new contact in a list step is basically the people in that list that landed in that list because they abandoned cart and they didn't sign up. And then we're going to branch based on the city that they're in. And then we're going to have this ChatGPT step that's called write an email. So if you have Zapier today, if you have make.com today, if you've got access to ChatGPT, a premium account, I think it's like $20, $25 a month to have access to the API. You could do this yourself today using a tool like Zapier, a tool like make.com. And most organizations will have something like this. So in this case, we have the lead that abandoned cart, and we're going to have a step right here that says write an email. Well, right here on the right, you can see that ChatGPT actually has this already set up as a event in Zapier, is write an email. So it's already got the setup. So when it comes to prompt engineering, there's some things that ChatGPT is doing in the background to allow you to have the event be write an email. So when it comes to configuring it, all I'm doing is telling it the name of the person who's going to receive this, who the email is coming from, and then I'm going to show you a different example of the actual email prompt because that particular chapter head wanted a specific template in mind. But here's the example from our Los Angeles chapter head. Introduce myself as Los Angeles' chapter head and ask if they would like to hop on a quick call to chat about Pavilion's membership. And then we've got all the details of this person related to who they are. Here's their function. Here is their function, their seniority, any details I can include in here that come in from HubSpot to create a personalized email. So that's really like the basic way to execute personalized emails at scale, is to use a tool like Zapier, create a step for ChatGPT. And then from there, you can send the email wherever you want. In the case of this particular workflow, we're actually just sending the email inside of another email. So we're basically sending an outbound email to the chapter head through Zapier, and I'll show you what that looks like. So this is the end result. So we've got here the name of the person, their function, their seniority, and then because we didn't have their LinkedIn profile, we have like a search on LinkedIn link. But the big thing here is send email in 2 clicks. And this kind of goes back to the human in the loop challenge when it comes to AI. We don't want to send this email out from Jeff. We want Jeff to be able to click this email and then review it, make any tweaks, and then send it. So I'm going to click send email in 2 clicks. And all this is a mail to link that embedded in the mail to link is this email body. So this was something that I presented a couple weeks ago at Pavilion's GTM conference, and people I think the number one thing that people came up to me and asked about was, how the heck did you make that email show up inside of the email as a mail to link? So I'll show you that right here. So I'm saying send outbound email. Inside of the body, I have a mail to link that has the output of ChatGPT. It's really hard to see, I know, on my screen, but you can see right here, I've got this mail to link that includes the subject line that ChatGPT generated, as well as an HTML formatted out, or not HTML formatted output, but a formatted output that played really nicely with this email. And I'll share, you'll see in the description of this webinar session the details about how what steps are needed to create this. But you can see the output is a really pretty email that says, hey, I'm the Los Angeles chapter head. Here's what our membership involves. And from there, the email is already there. It's ready to go. He can make any tweaks and send it. So this was like V1 of the workflow. V2 of this workflow is, okay, we've got some basic info from HubSpot that's sort of personalizing this, like referencing CEOs, leadership courses because they're a CEO, but we want to take it one step further. We've got to do additional research. And here is what that new email looks like after using a workflow builder tool like Copy.ai. So here is the final outcome of this, essentially this project to best personalize these emails. So you can see it's a similar email as I shared before. I included a section about the background, about how this person came in, information about their company, what they did in HubSpot before coming and abandoning cart and filling out the form. And then again, they can send the email in 2 clicks, but it's a little bit more personalized because it says, as a seasoned chief customer officer with over 15 years of experience, I think you'd be a fantastic addition to our local chapter. How did it know that this person had 15 years of experience? Well, I'm glad you asked. And that is the big gap with using the previous method, using ChatGPT, is ChatGPT cannot scrape a person's LinkedIn profile to understand how many years of experience that they have. So enter Copy.ai, which is absolutely mind-blowing. So I showed you the Zapier flow earlier. The Zapier flow, it's confusing, it's annoying to manage, and frankly, I'm very glad I'm not using this anymore. Did it work for a period of time? Yes, it did. But we have since migrated to Copy.ai for this use case. Here is what's really cool. I can manage the entire personalization of the email in one spot. So I have this essentially entry criteria, like what trigger event is going to happen in order for this person to get an email personalized. Well, that is HubSpot contact updated. So basically I'm saying, hey, was a HubSpot contact updated? And then what I could do is say, we use this field called step 1 completed date. So we can say step 1 completed date exists or is not null or changed. So I'll just say changed because this means that step 1 completed date is step 1 of our form. So as soon as somebody abandons cart, that date is going to change or be set. And then that person is then going to be triggered to get enrolled in the workflow. So from here, so think of this similar to if you use Zapier and you have a HubSpot step as your first step, but this is all inside the workflow. The next step is we take all the information from HubSpot of that person, we scrape their profile. So there's a step here to scrape their profile. We extract the company's LinkedIn URL because we want to know what kind of company this person works at so we can personalize it. We're going to scrape the company profile to understand what type of company is. We're going to generate a summary of the prospect. And I showed you guys earlier what that looks like. It is right here, the summary of the prospect right here. So the background and their experience, the overview of their company. This is just arming the sales rep, in this case, the chapter head, with all the information they need to make a to make a personalized experience, to provide a personalized experience for this prospect beyond just the personalization done in the email. So we've generated the prospect summary. Now we can generate the email. Beautiful. We have all the information that needs to get fed into the email. And then we have a nice long prompt here, which I'm going to share a link to this workflow so you can steal it for yourself. but you can see, write a friendly email from the chapter head to the prospect, introducing themselves and the chapter and inviting that prospect to connect and learn more about Pavilion membership. And then we have a background information, which is essentially telling the AI who they are essentially in this scenario. So you're an experienced sales operations specialist responsible for relationship building and outreach. So we're not just telling the AI what to do, we're giving the AI some background about who that AI should essentially imitate. In that case, it's going to be a sales operations specialist responsible for relationship building and outreach. And the ending result is a really nice personalized email. And so the beauty of using a workflow builder tool like Copy.ai is you can send this email, you can send this prospect summary anywhere you want. It can go back into HubSpot as a custom field. In our case, we're sending an API request to Zapier, which then kicks off the email to the chapter head. But there's so many different use cases for this, and it just absolutely fires me up, Nathan, that I'm honestly jealous that you get to literally live your entire life in this tool. I do a lot in this tool, but my God, that's like your entire.
Yeah,
It's so cool.
it's become a problem. And my wife is a little worried about how much time I'm in the basement just building workflows. I didn't know we were going to go that deep into Copy AI workflows. Thank you so much for showing that. I didn't want it to be a big sales pitch, but that's exactly the right type of use case that we're hoping to solve for, which is, people used to call email personalization where you could just put in that first name token or like the company name token, and that was called personalization. But AI, regardless of the tool you use, it really opens up personalization at a different level than it's ever been accessible before. And one thing that you said earlier that I really, really liked was with your human employees, you're like, I want them to feel empowered. Having realistic expectations of the amount that you want your non-full-time employees to give back, where you're like, yeah, they could do that, but they're not full-time. I want to give them all the tools they need to be successful in the least amount of time possible. This is awesome. I don't think I've seen that use case up close. So sorry, the big stupid grin. I mean, that's neat.
No, and I think it's important to also talk about the results too. So it's not just like, oh, that's really cool. Marketing created personalized emails for people. So what? It quite literally increased, like when a chapter head intervenes and reaches out to the prospect in this personalized method, it quite literally 2x's our conversion rate of those prospects.
That's really cool. That's really
I'm not even kidding. And so I cannot encourage you enough. I don't care if you're using whatever you're using to do this. Like, you can create some basic level of personalization using Zapier and adding a step for ChatGPT. But if you really, really, really want to accelerate the level of personalization beyond just like referencing what your company does and using that data combined with maybe the person's title or whatever, if you really want to go a step further and be able to do things like scraping the person's profile, scraping the company's profile, having like a holistic understanding of that prospect before you send that email, you're going to want to use a tool like Copy, frankly. And it's been a huge unlock for us. It's been a huge unlock for a lot of companies, and the use cases are literally never ending. I'm consistently coming up with new, I could build a workflow for that.
Yeah, right. Okay, I feel bad. Promise not paying Josh to say this after the call or anything like that. This is awesome. Thank you so much.
No, we're a paying customer. Will happily be a paying customer. But the point is, if you've made it this far, which I hope you have, the point is I hacked this together. I hacked the use cases together with Zapier, with ChatGPT as a step in Zapier. I proved this out in the beginning that, hey, if the chapter heads had a little bit of personalization, we'll consider them sales reps. If the reps had a little bit of personalization, it's going to move the needle. It did. Now it's moving the needle even more because I was able to validate that it's worth the investment in a tool that can help do this much more at scale and much more personalized. So I don't know. I just start small, build out the use cases, test them, and then you can scale them to infinity and beyond, just like your landing page building. Like, I could literally upload a CSV of all the information that you just showed me for this landing page customization, and it would spit out the landing pages in Webflow for all those accounts, all in like probably like 5 minutes for it to run through each step. It's insane.
It's wild. It's wild what's happening, and I feel like we need to have another chat at a future date about, I'm so curious about your technical skills going into this, because it can be overwhelming to people. I personally think you're thinking about AI in the exact right way. And yeah, it's just exciting to see.
Sweet. Well, Nathan, good doing this with you. It was such a nice surprise, and thanks to all the folks for having us on and letting us talk nerdy about AI.
No, right? I just haven't stopped smiling. My mouth hurts in the past 20 minutes. It's just a lot of fun to do.
It is absolutely fun. So thank you to Get Signals. Thank you to Rael, who's been spearheading this event. And thank you, Nathan. You're the man.
Thank you, Josh. This has been awesome. Thank you to everyone. All right.